like the mid 80s to late 80s, I believe. So let's open up the floor for questions and a discussion on the film.
All right.
It's cool because we watched this yesterday, so we've had a little bit of more time than usual to really talk and maybe not talk, but really kind of think on it or sleep on it, if you will, about what we really think about the film.
Yeah. Has this movie changed at all in your opinion from when maybe the first time you saw it, or has it translated well with time for you?
Okay, story time for a little.
Oh.
No, so I can remember watching this film. I would try to catch it when it'd come out on TV, right? I think they would play it a lot on what was then the WB. I can remember my mom. I lived with my mom at the time, and she would always get pissed when I would try to watch this movie, even though it was edited for TV. She didn't like, because they do like the whole, like throwing the little vials of crack and stuff everywhere, and I can remember that imagery. And her getting, like, turn the station, and then when she would leave or go to the store, I'd turn it back and, watch it anyway, which is classic. And
what a rebel.
And I always really like I was telling you, I've always been a big fan of Wesley Snipes and Ice-T, definitely. And Wesley's got my name, that's crazy.
Yeah.
You have no idea how many times I've heard, oh, what you mean, like Wesley Snipes? Like, I've heard that way too much in my life, for sure. But yeah, I've always loved this movie. And going back to your question, do I think that it's changed since I've watched it? I wish I could say it's aged a little better. There are some things that feel a little dated. There's some dialogue and some acting, and some of the like had told you, some of the action sequences feel a little shoddy at times. But we have to remember this was also filmed on a very, very modest budget. It was an indie film. I think Ice-T was only paid $26,000 to do this.
Wow, that's crazy.
That's not, I mean, of course, $26,000 for us is a lot of money, but for a hip hop artist, somebody who was on the rise to fame, that's not a lot of money at all, I would think.
Not at all, yeah.
But that's all he was paid, so that gives you a kind of an idea on the kind of rough trail they were on, I guess, getting this made. But with that in mind, I think that it's a pretty solid film for what it is and what it tries to do.
Yeah.
There's a lot of very cool, as you mentioned, like some very cool social commentary and anti-drug undertones to it, which I really dig. And I just have a soft spot for this film, so it's really hard to talk shit on it, really. But but yeah, I think it was a good screening. It was fun, and although I think it could have aged a little better, I think it's still fun, and it has some relevant ideas still. I'll say that.
Yeah, definitely.
What about you?
Yeah, I from the first time I saw this movie, I think I was pretty young. I know that. I remember probably maybe 20% of what I did see when I was younger, and the other 80, it felt brand new to me. But I enjoyed it. The only things that kind of drew me out of the movie were probably maybe the music a little bit, because it is music from the early 90s, and the clothing like the suits with like the shoulder pads and stuff like that is kind of the only thing that dated the movie for me. But I really enjoyed the movie. I feel like it's still relevant today with drugs being a big problem even now. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's a good movie.
I think it is. I mean, there, like I said, there's some stuff that's like a bit over the top, but it works. You know what I mean? It definitely works.
Definitely.
And it's nothing that's going to make you turn the movie off. At least, not for me. I think Chris Rock is really good.
Yeah, he is.
Looking very young, like a baby.
Yeah.
Almost unrecognizable a little bit if it wasn't for his very distinct voice there. Yeah, I had fun with this movie. Do you? What did you think of the acting?
I liked the acting. At times it did seem a little. It didn't. Some of the lines didn't really feel too organic, if that makes sense. But other than that, I feel like it was pretty solid. There was a couple of cheesy lines here and there, but I mean that's expected with your older movies and with such a low budget. But I the acting to me was pretty good. I don't think it was horrible at all by any means, or it's not that I didn't like it, but
I think a lot of the problems with the acting were not your core people. It was more the supporting characters, like the lesser known people. I feel like because this was a debut film for a lot of people on that cast, and including Ice-T, who I think really he does really shine through most of this film. There's a few parts that are like that's a little shaky, but I mean that's to be expected. This was his first role ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah, which is crazy because he did an outstanding job. In acting.
Yeah, so yeah, he did do a great job. I definitely agree on that. Any other thoughts on the acting at all?
No, I enjoyed the acting. I mean, what about you? Did you have any problems with it?
Just a few things, like when they go and Nino, aka Wesley Snipes, orders his crew to go kill one of his drug dealers on the street. One of the chicks says they're like rockabye baby or something. And then so I'm like, oh, like that was kind of cheesy. And then they play that again once they actually kill the dude, and they play it in the background. You hear the chick say rockabye baby, and I feel like that's kind of lame because they're walking you through. They're like, oh, by the way, this is the person that they were just saying that they were going to kill. Like, it's almost insulting to us, them throwing that in again. It's like, dude, we didn't need you to hold our hand that way. That was some interesting editing for sure that I don't really understand. But yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I think could have been taken out in the cutting room floor. But yeah, other than that, it's pretty solid, because we have to realize that this is a period piece, and so you got to kind of suspend disbelief for that hour and 40 minutes as well, you know what I mean? And go back into that frame of mind, I guess you would say. But next question.
Did you have any favorite? What's your favorite one-liner in this movie?
Oh man.
Uh-oh.
Probably the end when he finally Ice-T finally captures Wesley Snipes or Nino, and they throw him in this big pile of trash, and he takes what I think is it's like a necklace with Africa continent or something on it, and Ice-T rips it off, and he's like, "How can you wear this when you're selling our people poison?"
Yeah.
And then he wants to kill him because he's an undercover cop, and they finally caught this big kingpin or whatever, and they're taking him in, and he points the gun at him, and he goes, "I want to shoot you so bad, my dick is hard." And the expression on his face is funny. He's like convulsing. He's like shaking so bad. Yeah, that's a great piece of line. That's a great dialogue.
That has to be probably my favorite line too. I mean, I remember when we watched that was pretty funny. That hit me pretty hard when he said that. That was funny.
Because you
don't expect it.
Yeah, it's out of nowhere, but it also I don't know, it just kind of fits, you know what I mean? Because I feel like Ice-T is a wild card, and not only his character, but he would say some crazy shit like that. So it's so funny.
Definitely.
There's also another part. Wesley Snipes has some great shines in this movie too. He has some great dialogue. There's this crazy part. Not that, and I definitely don't want anybody to think that I think the abuse of or the exploitation of women is funny by any means. But so there's a scene towards the end of the movie where there's a shootout and a bunch of people get killed. And the girl that he's interested in and is interested in him, she's starting to kind of see through the glamour and stuff, and she's getting mad, and she's like, "Oh, Nino Brown, like you're a murderer, and like I hate you," and all this stuff. And he gets fed up, and he grabs her and pours champagne, like super random, and goes, he's like, "Cancel that, bitch. I'll get another one."
Yeah.
Like it's nothing.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, the guy is like stone cold, like a fucking sociopath, if there ever was one. He just has no feelings whatsoever throughout the whole film. He is just a straight up, gangster. Like he's desensitized. He has no. I feel like his morals have went out the window because of, the kind of cards he was dealt, or what. Towards the end of the film, he says that he's been dealing drugs since he was 12 years old, and that he wasn't spoon fed at all, and he's had this like rough life, and I feel like he's kind of adapted and embraced that culture of the gangster, and he does a very, very good job. Probably the best. I would think like the best acting of the film is him in his scenes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes killing it. Blade, what up?
Oh yeah, it's not crazy.
All right. Do you? How did you feel about the soundtrack? I know you said that it was a little weird for you.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really too weird, but it just kind of the music really dates the movie, for me at least. I know some people can probably get around that, or they don't pay too much attention to it, or it kind of just absorbs into the movie and it just becomes one. But for me, the music was fine. I don't hate any of the music at all. But it's more of just that it dates the movie, at least for me. Other than that, I don't have too much of a problem with it. Just the fact that I felt like it dated it a little. But yeah, I know they actually reference. I think I want to say a lot of the songs they say New Jack City in their music.
Yes.
And that's kind of a reoccurring thing that happens throughout the movie. But no, I enjoyed the music. It's just it was a little dated for me. But how did you feel about the soundtrack?
There's some parts that really, really work. Like I actually, I'm not too big of a fan when artists put their own, tracks under scenes that they're in. But I really love that opening when Ice-T, because he's an pretty much an undercover cop, and he's trying to set up Pookie, who is this notorious kind of crackhead around the area, and he has this bag of money, and Pookie pretty